The invitation had been sitting on the kitchen table for 3 days before Owen Carter finally picked it up. It wasn't the elegant gold lettering that made his hands tremble. It was the memories hidden inside that envelope. 20 years after graduation, the classmates who once laughed as he walked through the hallways wanted him back for a reunion. The same people who watched him get humiliated by the school's biggest bully without lifting a finger would all be there again. Owen almost threw the invitation away, convinced that some wounds never truly healed. But his 12-year-old daughter had quietly looked at him with hopeful eyes and reminded him that sometimes the bravest thing a person can do is walk back into the place where they were once broken. He had no idea that before the afternoon ended, the man who mocked him in front of everyone would fall silent forever when one powerful CEO stepped forward and calmly said, "He's with me." Before we continue, if you believe kindness deserves a second chance and that people should never be judged by their hardest seasons, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Tales Journey for more emotional stories that remind us humanity is stronger than pride. Owen Carter's life never looked impressive from the outside. Every morning began before sunrise as he packed school lunches, ironed a small uniform, and rushed to his construction maintenance job across town. After his wife passed away from a sudden illness 8 years earlier, every responsibility became his alone. There were days when exhaustion settled into his bones so deeply that even smiling felt difficult, yet his daughter Lily never saw him complain. She only saw the father who attended every school event, cooked pancakes every Saturday morning, helped with homework despite being tired, and whispered every night that tomorrow would be better. The world called him an ordinary single dad. Lily simply called him her hero. Money was always tight. Their apartment was small but filled with warmth. Second-hand furniture surrounded family photographs instead of expensive decorations. The refrigerator carried hand-drawn pictures instead of luxury magnets from vacations they could never afford. Every corner reflected sacrifice, love, and quiet resilience. Owen often wondered if his late wife would be proud of how hard he was trying. Whenever doubt entered his heart, Lily hugged him without saying much. Somehow children always know exactly when love is needed most. The reunion arrived on a bright Saturday afternoon filled with blue skies and warm sunshine. The event was held at a beautiful country club decorated with white flowers and colorful banners celebrating the graduating class. Luxury cars lined the entrance while old classmates laughed as though no time had passed. Expensive suits, designer dresses, polished watches, and successful careers filled every conversation. Owen parked his aging pickup truck in the farthest corner, hoping no one would notice it. He adjusted his clean but inexpensive jacket, took one deep breath, and walked toward the entrance with quiet dignity. At first everything felt manageable. Some classmates genuinely smiled and asked about his daughter. Others politely exchanged memories before moving toward more influential guests. Owen expected nothing more. He simply wanted closure. Then he heard the familiar laugh that instantly transported him back 20 years. Grant Holloway hadn't changed much. He still carried the same confidence that came from wealth, popularity, and believing he was better than everyone else. During high school he had made Owen's life miserable, mocking his worn-out clothes and working-class family almost every week. Time had given Grant more money but very little wisdom. As Grant noticed Owen standing near the refreshments, an arrogant smile spread across his face. He walked over with several former classmates following behind him, eager for entertainment. His loud voice echoed across the outdoor garden as he joked that some people clearly never escaped mediocrity. He laughed about Owen arriving in an old truck while everyone else had upgraded their lives. He casually mentioned that being a single father probably explained why success never found him. Several uncomfortable guests looked away while others forced awkward smiles, unsure how to react. Owen lowered his eyes for a brief moment. Not because he believed Grant's words, but because humiliation still carried the familiar sting of his teenage years. He remembered every lunch eaten alone, every cruel nickname, every moment he questioned his own worth. Those invisible scars never completely disappeared. Yet instead of responding with anger, he simply straightened his shoulders. Years of raising Lily had taught him something school never could. Real strength was staying gentle when life gave every reason to become bitter. The silence grew heavy. Grant mistook Owen's calmness for weakness and continued boasting about luxury homes, international vacations, and business investments. He proudly explained that successful people naturally surrounded themselves with other successful people. Then he glanced toward the entrance and laughed that Owen probably didn't belong among executives and millionaires. Before anyone could answer, several black executive vehicles quietly arrived near the front gate. Security staff respectfully opened the doors while event organizers suddenly became noticeably nervous. Heads turned across the entire garden as one of the country's youngest and most respected CEOs stepped out into the afternoon sunlight. Her name was Evelyn Brooks. She wasn't famous because of expensive fashion or dramatic headlines. She had earned admiration by transforming a struggling technology company into one of the nation's fastest-growing businesses while funding scholarships, community housing, and education programs for struggling families. Newspapers often described her as powerful. Employees described her as compassionate. The crowd naturally parted as Evelyn walked confidently across the lawn. Many guests assumed she had come as the keynote speaker or special sponsor. Grant immediately adjusted his expensive suit and prepared his most charming smile, expecting to introduce himself. Instead, Evelyn walked directly past him. She stopped in front of Owen. A warm smile appeared across her face before she gently embraced him with genuine gratitude. Then she turned toward the stunned crowd and calmly explained that Owen Carter wasn't simply another guest. He was with her. Confusion spread across every face. Evelyn shared that years earlier, before becoming CEO, she had been a frightened young entrepreneur desperately trying to keep her tiny startup alive. Her company was days away from shutting down after an office accident damaged expensive equipment. She had spent hours sitting outside a repair warehouse wondering how she would tell her small team that everything they had worked for was ending. He noticed her crying alone and quietly offered help. Without asking for recognition or payment, Owen spent his entire weekend repairing damaged equipment using skills he had learned from years of fixing machinery. He even used his own savings to buy replacement parts because suppliers refused to wait. His kindness gave Evelyn enough time to save her company. She never forgot. As her business expanded into an international corporation, she searched for the man who had changed her future. Owen never accepted public praise. He simply returned to raising his daughter and living an honest life. Evelyn eventually found him again through one of her charity projects and quietly kept in touch, often asking for his advice about serving communities instead of simply chasing profits. Every person listening stood speechless. Grant's confident smile slowly disappeared. The wealthiest woman present wasn't honoring investors or celebrities. She was honoring a maintenance worker and single father. Evelyn continued explaining that several of the company's employee support programs existed because Owen once reminded her that every struggling family deserved dignity. Scholarship funds helping thousands of children were inspired by stories Owen shared about raising Lily alone. Even leadership workshops inside the corporation carried lessons based on compassion rather than pride because of conversations with a man the world rarely noticed. Applause slowly filled the garden. Many former classmates wiped tears from their eyes as they realized success had been standing quietly among them all afternoon without demanding attention. Grant suddenly understood that every cruel assumption he had made collapsed within minutes. But the greatest moment had not arrived yet. Evelyn smiled and invited Lily onto the stage. The young girl shyly walked forward wearing the same bright smile her mother once had. Evelyn announced that the corporation had created a national education scholarship in Lily's mother's memory after hearing Owen's story of courage, grief, and unwavering devotion. Hundreds of single-parent families would receive educational support every year because one father refused to let hardship make him lose hope. Owen couldn't stop the tears filling his eyes. He wasn't crying because wealthy people finally respected him. He was crying because the quiet sacrifices made inside a tiny apartment had reached farther than he ever imagined. His late wife's memory would now inspire children across the country. Lily gently held her father's hand while smiling through her own tears. The afternoon sunlight seemed brighter than ever. Several classmates approached Owen afterward with sincere apologies for ignoring his suffering years earlier. Some admitted they had admired him but lacked the courage to defend him against Grant. Others confessed they spent years chasing impressive careers only to realize kindness mattered far more than status. Grant remained standing alone. For the first time in his life, no amount of money could rescue him from shame. He slowly walked toward Owen, his confidence completely gone. His apology wasn't dramatic. It wasn't perfect. It simply came from someone finally recognizing the pain he had caused decades earlier. Owen looked at him for several quiet seconds before gently nodding. Forgiveness didn't erase the past, but it prevented the future from carrying the same darkness. As the reunion ended beneath the clear afternoon sky, Owen and Lily walked toward their old pickup truck together. It looked exactly the same as when they had arrived. Nothing about the vehicle had changed. Everything about their lives had. Owen realized true success was never measured by luxury cars, expensive watches, or impressive titles. It was measured by the lives quietly transformed through compassion when nobody was watching. The greatest legacy a person leaves behind isn't found inside bank accounts. It lives inside grateful hearts. Years later, classmates would barely remember the decorations or speeches from that reunion. But they would always remember the afternoon when a billionaire CEO ignored every powerful guest, walked across a crowded garden, stood beside a humble single father, and reminded everyone that genuine character will always outshine temporary success. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, leave a heartfelt comment, share it with your family and friends, and subscribe to Kindness Tales Journey so together we can continue spreading stories that remind the world kindness still changes lives. Special request: before this story ends, please comment with one word, kindness, if you believe every act of compassion eventually finds its way back. Sometimes life waits years before revealing the value of our quiet sacrifices. The people who laugh at us only see today's circumstances, but they cannot see tomorrow's purpose. Owen walked into that reunion carrying old wounds, yet he walked away carrying something far greater than respect. He carried proof that kindness never disappears. It grows silently, touches lives we may never meet, and one day returns when we need it most. No matter how difficult your journey feels today, never allow bitterness to replace compassion. The world may overlook your goodness for a season, but heaven keeps perfect records of every selfless act. And when the right moment finally arrives, your greatest reward will not be applause. It will be knowing that because you chose kindness when it was hardest, someone else's life became brighter forever.